The moment I realized lying on my resume was the worst decision I had ever made happen 10 minutes into my first day at work. My manager walked into the room, placed a laptop on the table, and said something that made my stomach drop. "Daniel, since you have extensive experience with this software, could you quickly demonstrate it to the team?" Everyone in the meeting room turned to look at me. 10 people, waiting, expecting me to confidently begin explaining a system I had never used before in my life. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. The lie that helped me get the job was about to expose me in front of the entire office. My name is Daniel. 2 years ago, I was desperate to find a better job. My previous position at a small marketing company had ended unexpectedly after the business lost several major clients. Suddenly, I was searching through job listings every day, sending applications, attending interviews, receiving polite rejection emails. Weeks turned into months. Each rejection made the process more frustrating. Many companies asked for experience with specific tools or software. Sometimes I had partial knowledge, sometimes none at all. Eventually, I began noticing a pattern. Employers often prioritized candidates who listed very specific technical skills, even when the job description suggested those skills could be learned quickly. At first, I resisted the temptation. I wanted to stay honest. But after another month of unsuccessful applications, I made a decision that seemed harmless at the time. I added one extra skill to my resume: experience with a project management platform called Atlas Flow. The truth was simple. I had seen demonstrations of the software online, but I had never actually used it professionally. My reasoning felt logical in the moment. If I get the job, I can learn the software quickly, I told myself. After all, many platforms work in similar ways. The small change seemed unlikely to cause problems. And surprisingly, it worked. 2 weeks later, I received a call from a technology consulting firm. The company was expanding rapidly and needed someone to coordinate project timelines between multiple departments. The interview process went smoothly. My communication skills impressed the hiring manager. They asked several questions about Atlas Flow. I answered carefully, using the knowledge I gained from watching online tutorials. Apparently, my responses sounded convincing, because 3 days later, I received the job offer. I remember feeling incredibly relieved. After months of searching, I finally had a new opportunity. What I did not realize was that the small lie on my resume had created a situation far more complicated than I expected. The first morning at the office began normally. New employee orientation, meeting coworkers, signing paperwork. Everything felt positive. My manager, Mark, seemed friendly and professional. He introduced me to the team and explained the company's workflow. For a moment, I felt confident again. Maybe the software experience would not be as important as I feared. Then Mark said something that immediately changed my expectations. Our entire project system runs through Atlas Flow. The words echoed in my mind. Every project, every deadline, every report, all managed through the exact software I had only pretended to understand. I tried to remain calm. Surely there would be time to learn before handling anything important. But within the first hour, Mark assigned me my first task. "Just review the project dashboard and update the client timeline," he said casually. I opened the program on my computer. The interface looked far more complex than the tutorials I had watched online. Multiple panels, advanced automation tools, integration menus. My heart began beating faster as I clicked through the system. Nothing looked familiar. At that moment, I realized something important. The tutorials had only shown basic features. The company used advanced functions I had never even seen before. Still, I attempted to remain calm. I believed I could quietly learn the system before anyone noticed. But the disaster arrived much sooner than expected. Later that morning, Mark called the entire team into a meeting room. "We have a new client project beginning today," he announced. Then he looked directly at me. "Daniel will demonstrate how we track tasks in Atlas Flow so everyone can follow the same process." The room suddenly felt very quiet. My mind raced through possible solutions. Maybe I could ask for time. Maybe I could redirect the discussion. But Mark was already handing me the laptop connected to the presentation screen. 10 coworkers watched patiently, waiting, expecting confidence. I opened the Atlas Flow dashboard and attempted to navigate the system. Within seconds, I clicked the wrong panel. A different menu appeared. Someone asked a question. "How do you link the timeline with the automation triggers?" My mind went blank, because I had absolutely no idea what they were referring to. The silence grew uncomfortable. Finally, Mark frowned slightly. "Daniel, you mentioned extensive experience with Atlas Flow during your interview." That was the moment everything collapsed. I took a deep breath and said something I never expected to admit on my first day. "I need to be honest," I said quietly. "I do not actually have as much experience with this system as I claimed." The room became completely silent. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then something unexpected happened. Mark sighed. Not angrily, just thoughtfully. "I appreciate your honesty now," he said. Then he looked around the room. "Everyone, let us take a short break." After the meeting ended, Mark asked me to stay behind. I expected the conversation to end my employment immediately. But Mark surprised me. "I suspected something earlier this morning," he said. "Your hesitation with the dashboard gave it away." He explained that the company valued honesty more than perfect resumes. The real problem was not my lack of experience. It was the risk of pretending to know something important. However, Mark also recognized something. My other skills were genuine. Communication, project coordination, problem solving. Instead of firing me immediately, he offered a compromise. "You will spend the next 2 weeks learning Atlas Flow properly," he said. "And during that time, another team member will supervise your work." Relief washed over me. But the lesson was clear. A small lie that seemed harmless had nearly destroyed an opportunity I desperately needed. From that day forward, I promised myself something simple. Honesty might not guarantee success, but dishonesty almost always guarantees problems. Many people exaggerate small details on resumes to appear more competitive. But situations like this raise an important question. Is the risk ever worth it? If you were in this situation, would you admit the truth immediately or try to learn quietly before anyone noticed? Let me know what you would do in the comments. And if you enjoy dramatic real-life stories about workplace moments, uncomfortable situations, and lessons learned the hard way, subscribe to the channel, because the next story might feel even more relatable.